The night the four men walked into the private dining room, Ethan Cole had no idea he was about to be dragged back into the world he had spent years trying to leave behind. He was just a waiter now, nothing more, nothing less. A single dad working double shifts at a high-end restaurant to raise his 8-year-old son, Liam. His life was simple, predictable, and quiet. He liked it that way. But fate never asked for permission. That night, the restaurant buzzed with its usual symphony of clinking glasses and murmured conversations, until the door to the VIP suite slid open, and the billionaire CEO of ARC Tech Industries stepped inside. Adrian Blackwell. Everyone in the restaurant recognized him. Everyone except Ethan, who barely kept up with news, wealth, or power. He only knew the man looked tired, burdened, and alone. He had the kind of presence that made the world straighten its back and hold its breath. "Your waiter will be right with you, sir," the host said, motioning for Ethan. Ethan grabbed a menu, straightened his apron, and walked toward the room, completely unaware that 5 minutes later, everything would unravel. Adrian sat at the corner table, his jaw clenched, staring at a document on his tablet that looked like it carried the weight of a country. When Ethan placed the glass of water in front of him, he smiled politely. "You're not the usual server for the VIP suite," Adrian noted. Filling in, Ethan said. "They needed someone. I needed the extra hours." "A father's schedule?" Adrian asked, eyeing a small drawing sticking out of Ethan's pocket. A scribbled picture of a stick figure dad and a little boy. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, single dad. Liam's 8. Before Adrian could respond, the door opened again. 4 men walked in, not dressed like guests, not dressed like security, dressed like trouble. Their movements were too controlled, their eyes too cold, their steps too synchronized. Ethan recognized it instantly, because years ago, he used to move exactly like that. The smallest of them, a man with a scar across his jaw, flicked his gaze toward Ethan. "Waiter," he said, "leave." Adrian sat up straighter. "Who are you?" The tallest man locked the door behind them. "We talk, now." Ethan's pulse hammered. He took one step back, hands raised as if obeying. But his mind raced with a sharpness he hadn't felt in years. Adrian's eyes flicked to him, briefly, questioning, maybe even pleading. The scarred man slammed a black briefcase onto the table. "You have something we want, Mr. Blackwell. And tonight, you're going to hand it over." Adrian's voice was steady. "I don't negotiate with criminals." Scar smirked. "You will." One of the men moved toward Adrian, but Ethan stepped forward instinctively. "Sir," he said calmly. "Maybe we should step out. I can get the manager." "Shut up," one of the intruders snapped, shoving Ethan back. Big mistake, because Ethan wasn't just a waiter. Before his son was born, before he swore never to raise Liam around violence, he was one of the best close combat specialists in a classified military unit that didn't exist on record. He walked away from all of it, but skills like his didn't disappear. They slept, and tonight, these men were about to wake them. The tallest attacker grabbed Adrian by the collar. Ethan's voice dropped. "Let him go." Scar laughed. "Or what? You'll call security?" "No," Ethan said softly. "I'll handle it myself." The tall man swung at him first. Bad choice. Ethan slipped aside like water, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted, and dropped him with a single strike to the solar plexus. The sound of the man hitting the ground echoed through the room. The other 3 froze. "Get him," Scar barked. 2 men charged at once. Ethan ducked under the first punch, snapped a knee into ribs, then pivoted, letting the man fall into the table. The second attacker grabbed a wine bottle and swung it, hard. Ethan caught his arm midair. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. Then Ethan wrenched the bottle from his grip and cracked it against the floor, not to use it, but to disarm him psychologically. The man backed up, panicked. Scar pulled out a knife. Adrian stood up, alarmed. "He has a weapon." "I see it," Ethan murmured. Scar lunged. The blade sliced through the air, but Ethan twisted, letting it pass just inches from his ribs, then trapped Scar's wrist against his own forearm. A quick strike, 2 fingers against a nerve cluster, and Scar's hand spasmed, losing its grip on the knife. Ethan kicked it away. Scar stumbled, breathless and wide-eyed. "Who the hell are you?" Ethan didn't answer. His silence was answer enough. The fight was over in less than 30 seconds. The 4 men lay incapacitated, groaning on the polished wooden floor. Adrian stared at Ethan with disbelief, and something else. Respect, gratitude, mystery. "You're not a waiter," Adrian said quietly. "I am now," Ethan replied, adjusting his apron. Used to be something else. Something I'm not proud of. Adrian looked at the attackers, still gasping for breath. You saved my life. Ethan shook his head. I just didn't want trouble in my workspace. But Adrian saw through him. You protected me without hesitation. Why? And there it was, the part Ethan never said out loud. Because my son is waiting for me at home, he said. And I want him to grow up in a world where men like this don't get to do whatever they want. Adrian's expression softened. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have heard the commotion and called for help. When security burst in, Ethan stepped back, letting them take the lead. He didn't want credit. He didn't want attention. He didn't want his past dragged up. He only wanted to go home to Liam. But Adrian didn't let him just walk away. Ethan, he said as police escorted the men out. You saved more than my life tonight. Those men, they were after a prototype my company developed. Something worth billions. If they had succeeded, thousands of jobs, and the entire company, would have collapsed. Ethan blinked. And you brought that to a restaurant? I needed a neutral place to review it, Adrian admitted. I didn't expect an ambush. Ethan sighed. Ambushes rarely come with invitations. Adrian let out a small laugh. Then he did something Ethan didn't expect. He extended his hand. I could use someone like you. Someone who sees threats before they happen. Someone who can stand their ground. Ethan stared at the hand but didn't take it. I'm done with that life. Adrian nodded. And yet, when danger came, you didn't hesitate. That was different. That was survival. No, Adrian said gently. That was leadership. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Leadership. He had forgotten what that word even meant for him. Before he could reply, Ethan's phone buzzed. A picture of Liam popped up on the screen, a selfie sent from the babysitter. Liam grinning with missing teeth, holding a wooden sword he had been pretending to fight bad guys with all week. Ethan smiled softly. Your son? Adrian asked. Yeah, he's the reason I walked away from everything. Adrian considered that. Then let me offer you something better. A job, not in combat. In security planning. Strategic. Safe. High-paying. Flexible hours. Enough for you to give your son the life he deserves. Ethan froze. It felt like the kind of opportunity that would change everything. But changing everything wasn't easy. I'll think about it, he finally said. Adrian nodded. Good. Because men like you, they don't show up in my life by accident. Ethan chuckled. I'm pretty sure I was just the nearest waiter. No, Adrian said firmly. You were exactly who I needed tonight. As Ethan walked out of the restaurant, he inhaled the cold night air, the adrenaline slowly fading from his blood. He replayed the fight in his head, not with pride, but with clarity. He had been calm, controlled, focused, like the soldier he once was. But he had also been something more. He had been a protector. For someone he didn't even know. When he got home, Liam ran into his arms. Dad, you're back. Did you beat the bad guys at work? Ethan's breath caught. Something like that, he whispered, hugging him tighter. Liam pulled back and looked at him with wide eyes. Someday I'll be strong like you. Ethan smiled. You already are. As he tucked his son into bed, Ethan knew one thing. No matter how far he ran from his past, the world would always need people willing to step between danger and the innocent. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop running. The next morning, Ethan picked up his phone. He dialed Adrian Blackwell. When the CEO answered, Ethan said only 4 words. When do I start? Because the night 4 men attacked a billionaire CEO, a single dad waiter didn't just save a life. He rediscovered his own.